Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another installment of the SCA Wheels podcast. Just a reminder for everybody to like, share, and subscribe if you like our unorthodox opinions. Welcome to another week. Welcome, Julian. How are you doing?
Like many times, share many times. Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
You need to care about us.
You do.
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. I've had a very mixed week, very stressful week at work, but I've also had a very exciting week as far as cars are concerned. I mean, how much has
Oh,
happened this week? How much has happened?
well, the elephant in the room, Gasly.
Gasly, right?
What the gas man?
The gas man. What a fantastic race Monza was.
Oh, yeah. And everybody's like so psyched about it. They're like, let's do reverse grid again. That what we did, the engine mode is working and all of that. It's all bullshit.
It is bullshit, man.
It's
It
just like
was
that race was just rich in many events.
yeah.
Mercedes making a mistake, which they are not prone to do. I mean, we haven't seen them make that many mistakes in the last since the hybrid era, I guess. Even before, actually, they were not making that many mistakes. Um, just yeah, an unbelievable race. Bottas. I don't know where should we start. The underperforming Bottas or
I don't think it's got anything to do with Bottas. Seriously, sorry, I've just spilled
seriously?
I've spilled
I'm
wine all
sorry.
over my table.
I think I have a puncture.
Yeah,
Um,
genuinely, I think
so I'm gonna drive. Yeah.
Bottas was not prepared for what happens in that car in the heat in traffic.
Yeah.
Oh,
The thing is,
he did have contact at the beginning of the race. You saw that, but but
he's got contact because he had a bad start.
he had a bad start.
He was overtaken by everybody.
Yeah,
And the guy actually just is not aggressive enough.
no,
Come on.
he's
It's
not
just
Hamilton. He's not Hamilton.
it's just definitely not Hamilton. I mean, like we're talking like a whole different, kind of class of drivers there. But I mean, Bottas, come on. Seriously, it's just so underwhelming, and there's always like, that a lot of talks, a lot of excuses. I thought that I had a puncture. You thought you had a puncture for what, 3 laps or what? Like
Yeah,
for the time it took for you to get around this and yeah, okay, the Mercedes doesn't perform when it follows. I'm sorry, actually, even though I'm in that, in that vein of understanding and everything. The big problem is that when you look at Lewis Hamilton, who after the red flag and serving his 10-second, stop and go penalty,
yeah,
that he had to serve within a determined set of laps. So that's why they didn't bring it to the end, right? They just did it in the very
yeah.
beginning.
Because you and I
He was able to overtake, and
yeah,
he got seventh. I mean,
yeah.
like going
He was,
30 seconds behind the pack.
yeah.
So
But this is the thing. He was able to overtake, right? But I mean, he was able to overtake the cars that he could. Like the Mercedes is clearly faster than. Like on pure speed, they are quicker. But just be aware that as soon as he got to the teams that were leading, he was stuck as well. Like it was Ocon. He was stuck behind Ocon. He couldn't get past the Renault.
yeah, you know
And the
what?
Renault is not slow. The Renault is not a slow car. So
No, it's not that. It's just I think this has more to do with tires than anything else. He probably ruined his tires by going all that fast to try and catch up as fast as he could.
yeah,
So there's probably that element as well. I'm just saying, Bottas is just. I'm just so underwhelmed by Bottas since last year. Bottas 2.0 is coming, and it's going to be a whole new era and everything. A lot of promises, and yeah, overpromise and underdeliver is what I have to say about Bottas.
yeah. No,
And
I completely understand. Like
he's got the strongest everything.
yeah,
When Hamilton is making or Mercedes making a mistake, which I think, they came out saying that there was no blame to be had on the Hamilton side. He should have seen that red flashing light. I'm not a driver. I don't know, like how much he was absorbed, looking at the wheel and, how much he needs to focus to. And okay, that's something that he could miss. And well, he missed anyway. And so did the team. So when that happens, you expect Bottas to be a good number two driver because that's what he is. That's what he's always been.
Yeah.
He's amazingly fast. Don't get me wrong. He's amazingly talented, but it's just a class below Hamilton anyway.
Yeah.
So the
100%.
thing is, his role is that when Hamilton has some struggles like he did, the guy should be at the front. There
Yeah.
was a restart. There were so many
Yeah.
things happening. He could have really capitalized on this, and he did not. And yeah, a team that did is Alpha Tauri, definitely. And I love the podium because I think it's got three different manufacturers, three different engines. That's just mixing it up. I love it.
Yeah. Like I do not disagree with you. Like in my head, like Bottas should have done more, but he didn't. Okay. But at the same time, it was quite revealing about the Mercedes car. You saw when Hamilton, you and I were on a call. We were on Discord throughout the whole race,
Yes.
talking about the race, and we said he'll come out 30 seconds behind, and he will catch up quick because there's no
Yeah.
one. There's no one there. As
All
soon
in
as,
clean air. Yeah.
yeah, as soon as he got to cars, team radio, get offline.
Well, yeah, the
You know.
Mercedes teams, the Mercedes engine teams just got out of the way. He was able to overtake
No,
everyone.
no.
Even
As soon as he came back, as soon as he caught up to the pack, the message was get offline because the cars
you
were
mean okay,
overheating.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
The
keep
cars were
cool.
overheating, and the cars couldn't maintain the power because they were getting too
And
hot.
and that's where we could say that not being able to change engine modes is actually beneficial because now Mercedes, so used to be running at the front, was obviously using an engine mode where they don't have to follow anybody.
Yeah,
Um, But in a way, that kind of sucks as well because even if the two of them are running ahead, so Hamilton and Bottas, that means they can't even fight because whoever is on second place is not going to be able to overtake unless it's in the pits.
yeah.
Because they want to be able to follow once again, right? So yeah. Anyway, we've been watching this for the past 6 years. The past 6 years has always been Mercedes being, way ahead. The action is in the mid pack, and
It is.
what an amazing, exciting race we had.
Like I think it was really good for the sport to see the other teams battling it out. Like genuinely, I thought it was really good. Like Gasly, like if the race went as the start without the stop with after Leclerc crashed into the wall, which was totally his fault. He even says it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's his fault, but
honestly,
the
like
car was apparently extremely difficult to drive as well, so very unpredictable.
yeah. I mean,
So
you saw P1. So we're at Magello this week. And P1, he was sitting in P3.
yes.
After P2, he's in 10th.
Mhm.
So he Vettel is only 2 places behind him.
Yep. Magello is another story altogether. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to this. I think it's exciting. It's exciting just for the fact that this is the first time there's a Formula One race on that track. There's been tests and everything, obviously, but I think it's very exciting, and I think actually this should be a trend. I call upon the powers that be at Formula One, to actually introduce one new track every year. There should
I
be
think
that
it's a good idea.
one, yeah.
I mean, this is the problem with Spain. It's a fucking boring race because everyone tests there, and they have done for the last million years.
Yeah, I mean the thing is they test at Mugello as well, but there was never a race, so it's kind of the opposite, direction. But the thing is, yeah, we agree. I mean, I think they should bring back those legendary tracks. One legendary track, um, that has been kind of abandoned in like the Imola, yeah,
Yeah.
those
Yeah, yeah.
tracks. And so they should do that, and plus just a new track, like a brand new track, which we were bound to get actually this year with Vietnam, but
Yeah,
that
that's
I
true.
guess is going to be for next year.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a really good race. It was really good because it was exciting and unpredictable.
Yeah.
Ferrari fucked up big time in the sense that what the fuck happened to Vettel's car? Like we were watching, and I'm like, what the hell just flew off Vettel's
I,
car? And then
we
he just
discussed
goes
it. Yeah,
straight into the chicane.
yeah. I mean, and then
Um,
you see the fire, and you see,
yeah,
like, the thing is, this is what we were discussing, right, during that time. That for me, like, even though they're saying, yeah, it's the problem of the engine last year and everything. I think there's a real management problem there,
yeah,
because you can see it seep through every single part of racing. They mess up, and sorry, but they're very slow during pit stops compared to other
yeah.
teams.
They're really fucking so.
um
They're about three. They're
Remember,
about half a
in
second slower than
was it
everyone else.
In Spa that they have to recharge the pneumatic tank or air for Leclerc. We see now the brake failure. I mean, all those things are just like things that can be avoided. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And that's why I think there's a lot of cracks there. There's a lot of things happening, that for me point towards a mismanagement of the team currently.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, as much as Binotto is talented and blah blah blah, has got the experience, sure, the guy is, but I don't think he's managing the team the right way. And what I'm worried about is that instead of going back to technical director, which he was absolutely a star at, he's team director, and they're hiring somebody else to reorganize, blah blah blah, into the technical role. And I
Yeah.
think actually, being the team manager is not his forte.
No, I mean, you saw. I mean, he doesn't rarely come out after a race to talk, and he actually came out to address the media. Um, uh, he came out to address the media. That's
Mm.
fucking rare, you know.
Actually, since his era, it's been a bit more open. Ferrari has opened up a bit more. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a trend that they're doing. But yeah, I mean, him, going out to the media to kind of address
Mm.
something that is, that is, that they lost the engine. They were illegal in some ways that was not being, they were never, or the FIA was never really able to prove that they were illegal. And the fact that they didn't share with everybody is because in the end it was what they're saying is it's IP, right?
Mm.
So they cannot share IP. Okay, understood. The thing that one of the comments, I think it's the race channel, that actually said that,
I love that channel.
um, yeah, it's a great channel. So Mercedes actually, inquired or sent an inquiry, or asked for the FIA to get an inquiry into the engine, the
Mm.
Ferrari engine, because basically I think that they did know what was happening, what Ferrari was doing. And so they basically sent the inquiry because, well, competition, of course, but more importantly, because, if it's allowed to do this, we'll do this as well. And essentially,
The
what
what?
it
Sorry.
seemed, well, what Ferrari was doing with the engine, so they were
Right.
bypassing the fuel flow meter,
Yeah.
and what they were doing is they were using either oil
Yeah. Yeah.
as
Yeah.
coolant
That it
to
was.
actually enrich the
Yeah.
mix,
Yeah.
in the atmospheric engine.
I watched that today. It was actually like they were guessing that it had something to do with they were getting like hydraulic oil, and like you said,
Either
bypassing the fuel
hydraulic or
filter.
cooling oil or
Yeah, and
whichever.
they were changing the air fuel ratio during
Yeah, yeah.
throttle off or something like that to get
Yeah, so
power
that
out the corner. Yeah.
what out of the corner you basically had like another added turbo, let's say, and that's what
Well, yeah,
the Ferrari was really great at. It was
it's
actually, it was not necessarily the fastest car, on a straight line.
mm,
Most of the time it was. It just picked up speed so much,
yeah, it did. You could see that
out
last
of the
year
corners, and that's
because I
what
mean, you saw Leclerc won Monza last year, and now he was. Oh, I mean, that was his
Gasly,
fault.
man, Gasly. I mean, I'm French, so 26 fucking years. Oh no, 24 years
Yeah,
waiting. The
2006.
last one was Olivier
2006.
Penis, yeah,
Yeah, but
Panis.
But that was the thing. I mean, wasn't that funny when Gasly was like, "I don't know what's going on. I've got to call back Macron, the president of France." He had a
Yeah,
missed call.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. I got a
That's,
missed call from Macron, and I need to call him back.
yeah, yeah. That's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, I mean, like,
But you know what? It is well deserved. It is really well deserved
I
for
think,
Gasly. You know.
I mean, okay, they were all the race events and all of this, but I mean, yeah, the guy did had a slower car. Did a brilliant race start. By the way, after red flag to have a standing start is just unbelievable. I think it's
It's a good
for me,
idea.
it's the greatest rule of them all because again, like you see how.
It's never
I mean,
happened before.
honestly, Lawrence Stroll should have who had a free pit stop.
Yeah.
That's why he was in the top 10 and ahead of Perez. Um, basically botched the start completely, and he
Yeah.
said it. Like, okay, not enough heat in the tires, but more importantly, just not used to start the car with an empty tank.
Yeah. It's
Well, not
different.
empty tank, but like it's a much lighter car, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and you saw Gasly just jumped the start, like unbelievable.
Well, he'd be
Had the
he'd be
best
used to
start.
it. Yeah, he'd be used to it because if you're at the front of the starting grid, you're basically like because there's like two clutch pedals. There's like stage one and stage two, and if you're at the front of the starting grid, you can just dump them almost straight away and go. Whereas if you're like mid pack or down the back, you can't because you're just going to launch into a car in front of you.
But he
So
felt it so much, no? I mean,
yeah,
when you
so
look at the restart, it's unbelievable.
Gasly would have been really good at that because he knows the car is lighter, which means the rear end is going to spin up if you do it too quick. So he just launched as he normally would, and he went. So I think that's actually what's contributed a lot to his
Well, then yeah,
successful
and
restart.
then Raikkonen coming into the mix as well with his soft tires that actually was not the right strategy, but
How good
he
was
he was playing there, up there, and then Sainz had to overtake all those people before he could actually get behind, in second place behind Gasly, but like the intensity of
yeah?
every lap, all of that was just a brilliant race. That's like
But the
it makes
thing
you love F1 for the next 10
I
years.
know, but that is the race where like you fall in love with F1 all over again. But
Yeah,
you know what the
exactly.
thing that was great is how did you watch did you watch I posted it in the Discord if you look in the chat area. Did you watch Raikkonen's post race conference?
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
No, I did not watch it, but
Oh, it was so
yeah.
funny. Like they just
I saw
go,
the comment. Yeah.
yeah, so they just go they go, so you went from what was it, P2 to P13 or something like that. And he goes, what do you think of the race? And he goes, yeah, it was shit. He just went, yeah, it was shit.
Yeah.
And that was his answer. Like, oh, you just go classic Kimi Raikkonen
This
moment.
is the thing is, what were they think? I mean, okay, no. Apparently, they didn't have that. That soft tires was the only brand new tire they had.
Yeah,
Any other tire was already used, so
yeah,
that's why they went for it. Yeah, in retrospect, it's always easier in retrospect anyway.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
but yeah, so a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant race. I mean, did you see there's that one guy in whatever Northern Europe country who actually did win the bet? Who actually
Yeah,
did predict that
somebody
fucking
actually
like
somebody
yeah.
actually placed a bet, and the
It
odds
was
were
like
like,
it was 1 to 160,000 or something. The
yeah,
guy
no,
actually
no,
bet 20 cent.
it was like 236,000 to 1, something stupid
No,
like
no,
that.
166,000. I
Oh,
just
was
saw
it?
the title there, to 1. And the guy just spent 20 cent and earned like over 30,000
I
euros.
know, that's fucking incredible. I'm like,
That's when
fuck,
you're like,
man.
oh, I should have bet like 200 euros,
How
of
much?
course.
How
But
much
again,
do you want to be
retrospect,
that
right?
guy?
But yeah. Mm.
That was so good. I just thought that was
But
fantastic.
Gasly under pressure, wow, what a performance. I thought, he's, as he was saying, his tires were gone. He pushed it to the limit but didn't make any mistakes. Finished the race 4/10 ahead, right?
Yeah,
So just man, this guy is really really good, and I think his value is going to go up.
I think so.
As
You
a
know,
driver.
the interesting thing was Helmut Marko wants to put more resources into AlphaTauri after that because I saw this today that he goes, he wants to make AlphaTauri a top team as well, which I think is a good idea. You know, I mean, because AlphaTauri is like, even though yes, it is in the Red Bull
Freaking
family as
Sauber,
well.
man. Sauber,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Yeah,
Sauber. It's
Sauber.
Sauber F1. But even though it is like technically still in the Red Bull family, it is independent. They don't share. They share what they legally can between Red Bull
Yeah.
and AlphaTauri.
Well, that's why they were concerned with the Racing Point, copying the Mercedes as well. They wanted some clarity there as well,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
what can we
exactly.
share then? Like when you have a sister team. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can
It makes
imagine
sense.
Ferrari and Alfa Romeo would have a similar arrangement too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was really interesting to see. You know, like I think it was really good for the sport. I think Toto Wolff said that. You know, when they actually asked about the race, Toto Wolff's first response was, "I think it's really good for the sport to see another team up front. You know, the different cars up front that
And I, I, I
a
don't know
different
why,
driver."
but like what it feels like as well is like, Gasly with whatever happened to him, right, in the past year or so. I feel like everyone was like really cheering for him.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
he
I,
got
I think
shafted.
even if Science had overtook or taken him, it wouldn't have been such just a good feeling. You know what I mean? Like that.
Mm.
It's like what you watch an American movie, right? There's the tension, there's the fall in love, there's the all the recipe,
Yeah,
like that they use all the time. That was it. That race was it as well.
yeah,
Like,
100%.
just it felt like everybody's like, yeah, because he seems like genuinely a nice guy as well.
Mm.
He's really liked. I learned this week that he was actually talking to Vettel and actually asked
Yeah.
advice to
I was
Vettel when
actually
he
I was
was at Red
actually
Bull
I was
and
actually gonna
all of
say
this.
that. I thought it was really classy. Vettel called Gasly straight after to congratulate him and talk to him and talk him through
Yeah,
it.
you saw Leclerc, like came to say thank
Yeah.
you. The one thing that I don't understand is, around all those stories and what you hear, and again, I don't know the veracity of most of what has been said, but it was also Hamilton. Hamilton coming to Helmut Marko last year saying you need to get Gasly out of the Red Bull.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I heard
the
that.
what the what the when is it he's like, okay, he's an amazing driver and everything, but um you know are you the freaking Eccleston 2, or like a new version of Eccleston, like you dictate everything and you have a say in everything? Just shut the fuck up. It's you have nothing to do in there.
Who
Hamilton.
yeah, fuck it. Like
I just like
I've
it's like kind
said
of
this
meddling. I really don't like the meddling side of things. Sorry.
I've said this in previous podcasts, but I 100%, do not deny his talent. I just find him fucking annoying. And I just find since he entered the sport, every season you just get this like he does that annoying thing, like blaming the stewards on some sort of prejudice and
Yeah, but
for
kind of like
penalties when he
he's
was
the
at
authority,
McLaren
in
and
saying this.
yeah,
That's
and the
annoying.
same thing
That's
here, and it's just like like just shut up. It's not your business to actually go in and,
yeah.
and talk about this. But I mean, there's so many things that happen in the race. I suppose we should touch on the Ferrari side. I mean, that was a massive fuck up from Leclerc.
Yeah, but again, like beginning of the weekend, he was saying that car is very hard to drive.
Yeah,
Like
we're
because
not
they
gonna.
were trying to balance. Monza is what they call the temple of speed.
Yeah,
So what do you do when you have a draggy car?
but
Already
did you
naturally
see
with an underpowered engine.
did you
You,
see the race did a video on the car, and they actually showed how much they removed from the car
yeah,
to
I saw that. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
and
But the thing is, it's a draggy car. And so therefore at the temple of speed you want to reduce the drag, and when you do this you actually unsettle the car as well, right?
yeah,
So the big problem when you remove that level of downforce, is not only felt, okay, we've got the top speed now, it's good, but in the corner, how much stability do you then get? You're just rely on mechanical grip at some speed, like the Desmos, right, at
Yeah.
Monza. You'll rely more on this, and then exiting the corner as well, because you have less downforce. It's also the car doesn't grip as much, right, when you're exiting the corner. So it's a real try to find the balance, and unfortunately finding that balance for Ferrari that weekend made the car. I mean, Leclerc saying that it's a tough car to drive would be analog to um, what's his name? Um, oh, the other French driver who's actually Swiss, As driver. That the car
Grosjean.
is Grosjean, yeah. That the car is undrivable. When he says it's hard to drive, we have
Yeah.
to understand it's just undrivable. So yeah, I mean, you see that. Did you see how he get that snap oversteer, and straight away the front tires then grip so much, and it just loses the car so quickly
Yeah, it does. It
in
does.
a fast corner. So that's when you know again, that balance of the downforce or drag versus speed really plays a role. So again, yeah, of course he messed up, but he messed up. Actually, I'm surprised that he didn't mess up earlier, given this, yeah, given how
Yeah.
difficult that car was to drive, apparently. So now that brings me to Mugello a little bit, because you know in Monza now we're kind of able to fuck up a little bit because there's gravel, but yeah, there's some runoff areas a little bit.
Well, they
Mugello
brought they.
doesn't have that. Mugello has very little runoff areas.
I liked the gravel though. We
I
were
love it.
talking. Yeah, I loved having the gravel. Seeing
Bring us
the
back the gravel.
Yeah, we said that 2 podcasts ago, but like, man, I mean, it was great. We were talking about where the fuck's gravel gone, and then
Yeah.
we're at Monza and there's gravel again. That was fucking
Like
fantastic.
it's like they remove the gravel, they make it asphalt and everything, and then they put freaking sensors, like to put,
Yeah,
you cannot go out of the track. They're drivers. They,
yeah,
they they will always try to make the circuit as short as possible, like
yeah.
in terms of distance.
Well, I mean, it's not
Um,
even as short as possible. They want the runoff area, so they want to maintain the speed. So I think in
yeah,
F1 and even World Endurance Championship in most racing series, you at least need to have 2 wheels on the circuit.
yeah,
So if they run off, but
yeah.
they have 2 wheels
But my point is,
inside the white
when I
line,
say short,
that's
it's
legal.
either distance or time, actually. But the thing
Mm.
is, they just try to cut corners to go as fast as possible, right?
Yeah,
And then at the end of the day, having those runoff areas is like, it's better than the freaking sensor,
yeah,
because you go all in, and I love that.
yeah.
I love that.
With the gravel.
Yeah, that you make a mistake. You put the wheel a bit too far, the wheel is going to get dirty, and it's going to take at least half a lap for you to actually get fully back to grip. If you go a bit further, then you're in the gravel, and that's it. You have a big chance of pitching it, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah. Who's on the phone?
fun people. um, yeah. I mean, I just that's the thing with gravel. Like, you can't. You've got to be precise, because
Yeah.
that's the track. And if you go into the gravel,
As I
well, you're
said,
fucked.
like even a wheel out, like if you dirty the wheel, right? You put the wheel out and you see that smoke coming out and all of that, right? Like, that means they still have a couple of corners after that where they don't have full 100% grip from
Yeah,
those tires, 100%
yeah,
performance. So again, and if they go a bit further, then they go out, and there, as I said, a big chance for them to actually bitch it, bitch the car, and then that's
yeah.
it, race over.
That's
So
it.
that's why I want the gravel back.
I'm the same. I want it back in more circuits. Um, I mean, what do you think about people talking about reverse grids?
Yeah, that's like it's kind of the consequence of that race that we just saw at Monza.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so exciting because we can see like the fast driver Hamilton going through slashing through the pack and getting back ahead and all of that. Um, I think it's bullshit. I think it's bullshit because they'll find a way to strategize around this as well. They'll be like,
Yeah.
it's reverse grid, so let's
So
not even
like
go into qualifying.
Mercedes
Let's
would
start
just
last.
Mercedes would just go, yeah, they'll do that. They'll build a slipperier car with more cooling.
Anybody would. It's not Mercedes. Anybody would.
Yeah, and then
Anybody would.
solve the problem. I think honestly, the whole reverse grid thing is a fucking bullshit.
Yeah, and then I
So
think
it's a total bullshit argument. I just don't think it's just
and it's
because that's
it's it's unfair for the drivers as well. I mean, Russell was saying this. It's unfair for the driver. Like he said, like we're Williams. Like at the moment, the car doesn't perform the way it should. If we're put, artificially in front of the pack, we're just gonna look like fools because the faster cars are definitely gonna overtake us. And then what are we going to be looking like as drivers? Like you're the slow driver who cannot defend, who cannot, yeah. Plus, it brings also the safety issue for me. Also, is a big one. I mean,
because you have cars that are just
yeah, you have cars that yeah. I mean, you when you look at and you love WEC and you look at when you have prototypes and GT4s and GT3s and all of those cars running on the same track at the same time, they have to actually they take precautions for this, right? So it's all like they get a warning and they have the big light and blah blah blah. So like it's kind of, so then is that what's going to happen in F1 then? There's a slow car and the fast cars, and the fast cars are going to have flashing lights to show in the rear view mirror that you've got a fast car behind you and you should let them through. And then what's the point? I just don't see it. Plus, and that's my last point, you have sister teams and things like this, right? So of course Alfa Romeo is going to let the Ferrari go through. Of course the Racing Point and the Williams are going to let Mercedes through because they're sister. Of course AlphaTauri will let the Red Bull through. So you're kind of like, it's already at the very start of the idea. It's already half the field gone.
Yeah,
For
you're
some
just
teams.
gonna have the same result.
So yeah, I don't see it. Overtaking is nice, but overtaking is not the whole race. You love the race because and you love Formula One because it's in the details. It's what you were saying earlier. Look at how they changed the wings for that track compared to that track. Look what the strategy is going to be. We're going to start on those tires. We're going to stop at that many laps and go there, do the undercut, the overcut. We're going to play the teams together, with the teammates to kind of slow down the other pack. So all of this is the real racing. And then you get some spans thrown in that where sometimes, like we saw at Monza, with a mistake. Well, actually, that race driver of the day should be fucking Magnussen. Because he stopped the car exactly where it fucked up everybody's race.
That was pretty good.
It's like it wasn't, and actually he did it like without no malice or anything from his side, right? But he just stopped it. Oh, they probably can push it back. Unfortunately, that opening was too small, and he was so close to the pits. So let's put it through the to the pits directly and close the pits. That's such a rare event. It's unbelievable. And
but
then
I think people sit there and say, "Oh, slow the pack down." I don't know that he did. I think he by necessity.
No, you're talking about Norris. I'm talking about Magnussen.
Oh, sorry, Magnus. I'm thinking
Magnussen, who
back when he was in
stopped his
McLaren.
car.
Yeah,
He
yeah, yeah.
stopped his car, right? Yeah, actually, surprisingly so close to the pits. So I mean, anyone would have assumed, like, why don't you just turn off the engine and just, roll through the pits? But it was like what, a few hundred meters from the pits, because he thought that that opening would be good enough or like large enough to bring the car, reverse the car back outside the track, right?
Mm.
And then what happened is that that opening was actually too small, so they actually pushed it through. Then that's the whole reason why they closed the pits. And then yes, there was an inquiry about Norris slowing down the pack, but that is what should happen. It
Yeah,
is the way it is. This is team
yeah.
playing.
This is exploiting the rules as well. It's like
Yes.
remember when Vettel overtook somebody in pit lane entry?
Mm.
That is
Yeah.
legal according to
Yes.
the rules. So
Yes.
it's the same thing what Norris did, and he needed to do that because you saw he came into the pit
And I'm so
like
happy he was
and
not
it was
penalized.
yeah, he came into the box just as Sainz was leaving. So he
Yeah.
had to do that, you know.
You had
So
to do this. Yeah, I mean,
whether
like, it probably was, but at the end of the day, it's brilliant team play, and I
yeah.
love this, and I love the fact that the stewards looked into it,
Mm.
but did not penalize it, because you know what? That's the fucking way it is.
That is the
As
you know,
simple as this.
I'm not changing topics yet, but it's like World Endurance Championship. Everybody, Le Mans is on next week. Le Mans is going to be on. Oh no, it won't be on during this podcast. It'll start after it. But Le Mans,
Shall we do a podcast when we have the start of the race then?
yeah, sure. We can definitely do that. I've actually got a streaming setup ready to go. So
If we get enough likes and views, and then we will.
yeah, we can do it. We can stream it. We don't even have to record it. We just stream it
I
straight.
need 1 million views. Yes.
1 million views. Okay, you might.
Yeah, so again, Monza, brilliant race. I think the race that we're gonna see in Mugello is gonna be probably a bit boring.
Yeah, I
So
think it's
again,
going to be business as
watch
usual.
watch the qualifying, because that's what's going to be exciting. There doesn't seem to be that many overtake opportunities on that track, so
Yeah.
track position is going to be key, as is going to be the strategy around the pits, when to pit, and with what tires. So that's what's going to be that race all about, unless again we get those unprecedented events that actually where what was happening or happened in Monza. I mean, unbelievable. How do you get like a closed pit lane, and then a red flag right after this,
And a
just
standing start, another standing start.
and therefore a standing start after this. It's
Yeah.
just unbelievable disgrace. So actually, rather than the reverse grids and everything, just do random opening of the pit lane, and leave it to the fans to actually vote for when it opens, on what lap,
Yeah.
and do something like this. This is gonna be freaking exciting.
Yeah. I mean, another thing I heard them
Or this would be, yeah.
another thing I heard them talk about was winners ballast. They do that in
Oh, no,
certain.
this is DTM and
Yeah,
stuff and
yeah.
everything.
And
I think no. I mean, they will already use ballast in F1 anyway, right?
I think so. They use it in a lot of race
No,
series.
but they use it. They use it. No, I mean, like in F1, they actually have ballast to try and settle the car
Yeah, but there's a lot of
or
race
balance the car.
series. There's a lot of race series, and I'm going to talk more about GT racing at the moment because in GT racing, there's so many different cars and manufacturers running in those series that they need to try and balance the performance of the car, so it actually is about the driving. So they have restrictors on the intake. They have and of course ballast is one of them to try and, even if you may have more power, they weigh the car down a bit more to make the driving, or to make the racing a bit more closer and about the skill, which I think makes sense when you're talking about manufactured like basically spec cars, really, because I mean a lot of these cars, like you can order like a 911 Cup car or a 911 GT3 car, and it's basically a trim spec for a 911. It's not like F1 where it is a purpose built car to a regulation, and then you're not, and then it's basically like you're enabled to do slight modifications to the car, after each race and things like that, but certain things are limited. But I think the idea of getting like a winner's ballast is bullshit in F1, because like, fuck, man, like you seriously, it seriously is about the teams, it seriously is about the driver, and it's all got to come together, and
And
to sit there and say, like you have to add ballast and things like that to make it closer, I think takes away from the, I mean,
it does.
back in the day, I mean, everyone sits there and says Formula One is the technological marvel of racing and blah, blah, blah.
It is.
But yeah, I agree. But at the same time, you also have to look at it and go, but the second you start to artificially like reduce the speed of the cars and things like that, then you're basically taking away from all the technological shit. So Mercedes, for instance, if you ballast them down to bring them closer to the midfield, well, then what was the point of Mercedes? What was the point of Mercedes developing a good car then? Because
Exactly.
because then they have all this downforce. Their car actually has smaller side pods to make it slipperier, to make it quicker, because their idea is qualify at the front and then fucking take off. You've got a quicker car because you've got less drag, and then that's how we win the
And a
races.
brilliant engine.
Yeah, and a
But
brilliant engine. And
again,
not that it's the most powerful, but that's their strategy. And the second that you put weight in that, well, it doesn't work because the car suddenly doesn't have the airflow through it to actually make it work. So I just think
yeah,
it's a stupid
everything
idea.
changes. It's a
Like
stupid idea, and again, it's called Formula One because it's a freaking formula that they come up every year,
Yeah.
a formula of regulations, rules to follow. And what I love about Formula One is that then you have those freaking genius engineers coming up with their interpretation of that formula, and
yeah,
that's what it should remain.
and
So
it's
don't put artificial things like reverse grid, like more weight or something like this. Just change the formula like they're doing in 2022, to okay, let's emphasize on which is something that was forbidden actually, but you know instead of using the downforce from the wings, you do it from the bottom of the car,
yeah. So
because
I
that
mean that's
probably will make the cars easier to follow. Because what we saw also, and what we see all the time, is that it's really hard to follow cars in F1
yeah, because they're
and
not
to
allowed to
overtake.
have ground effects.
Ground effects, yeah, and ground effect was introduced by Lotus at the time, and it
Yeah.
was forbidden very quickly. But now they're coming back to it, and they're saying, "Oh, let's emphasize. I mean, let's try to do this because it will give us less of that bad air flow behind cars, so easier for them to follow." Yeah. So,
Yeah, I mean,
but you'll see, like
but that's coming
some of
next
the
year,
some
isn't
of
it?
the design, like you see.
The whole
Sorry.
ground effects thing is happening next year.
No,
It's next.
2022,
No, I think it's next
2021.
year.
No. 2021 is the same rule as this year because of COVID. They actually extended 1 year.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. So the thing is, at the end of the day, it's like this, but you can expect the teams anyway to use the exhaust, for example, to make the air behind the car as dirty as possible, to
Yeah.
be to use this as an advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they will, and I love this about F1.
Like the whole blown diffuser thing back in the day.
The blown diffuser, you had also a few teams using the exhaust to actually use the hot air around the wing, the rear wing, to actually make it more efficient,
Yeah.
or to break down the disturbance that you get at the back.
Yeah.
because that dirty air that they produce is also slowing the car down, right? It
Yeah.
produces drag more. So if you can have clean air, so they were using the exhaust in a way that actually would kind of settle the air a little bit to avoid. It's unbelievable what those guys come up with, and
Yeah.
it's always millimeter, it's always milliseconds. We're talking about this. That's what I love about F1, because I love geeking
And
around what they're doing.
that's the thing about these cars as well, because with like the thing about when you have like real ground effects, like the fan car, like Gordon Murray's car, right?
Yeah,
Um, when you have that, it essentially makes the car longer. Like the car, like physically in
yeah,
dimensions, is not longer, but it is like extending the rear of the car, like having a long tail. So you've got a bigger diffuser. So that's what ground effects essentially
yeah. The air
does.
around it, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
basically.
yeah.
So that footprint of the car is actually longer,
Mm.
air wise,
And
versus the actual size of the car.
that's why like when you look at a lot of these performance cars, like the RS7. No, not the RS7, the RS6 wagon.
Yeah,
Like well, I can even use a basic example. Remember Holden?
yeah.
So you had the Commodore sedan, which was basically like a core.
Remember Alden?
Yeah, yeah.
Like 10 years ago when I was living in Australia, I
Yeah,
never
yeah,
thought
yeah.
that we would be saying this, right?
Yeah. But like when you're
It's such a shame.
but the funny thing about like it's basically a sedan or a wagon with a Corvette engine in it, right?
Yeah,
And the thing about that is everyone bought the sedan, right? Because it was like a muscle car sort of thing. But the funny thing is the wagon was actually faster because it had like basically a slab profile, which made the car longer. So you didn't have like a sloped roof come down. Because
yeah.
the second the car slopes off, you get these
The
swirls in it.
turbulences, yeah.
Yeah, you get the turbulence, which basically is like lift in the
That's the
car.
dirty air in
Yeah,
F1,
yeah. So
essentially. Yeah,
so you basically get lift. So by extending the roof in a wagon version, the lift is actually pushed further towards the back of the
yeah,
car. So you
yeah,
don't actually have like so what ends up happening is the lift in the sedan, the lift is caused by the roof, even though you might have like a spoiler and stuff like that.
yeah,
But the roof is lifting, but the boot or the trunk of the car is further back.
yeah.
So by having a wagon, you actually have a much faster car.
That's why,
And
and actually, I think people now realize this, because this is what we're trying to do with the long tail from McLaren.
yeah.
This is where you get the super fast from Bugatti the Bugatti Chiron super fast. You can see actually it has that elongated tail. The slopes are a lot kinder, let's say, like shallow. Let's say the rear of the car, and that's why I love fucking wagons. I love
Yeah,
wagons for
yeah.
me.
But,
This is
like, air at speed is sticky, right?
Mm.
So, basically, that's why when you look at even the Veyron, that's part of what the fin is for. So, the fin was actually introduced in, like, World Endurance Championship before it was introduced in F1 on the LMP1 cars and LMP2 cars, and the idea was that if you go sideways, you have no more aero. So
and
what it did was it was basically like a big fin to stop the car from flipping. But what it inadvertently did is it made the car kind of flatter, so the air stuck to the fin and directed it to the wing.
the thing is, I've never really understood why we always have those air tunnels um, to test the aero of cars. Because for me, it would be a lot easier to use water, because the only element that changes is density, right? Between water and air, right?
Yeah, look, but
Density. But if you bring this at the same speed with water, it's a lot easier to read what's happening around the
yes,
car than it
but
is with air.
yes, I agree with you. But the only problem with water, because remember the wind tunnel cars, they run scale models,
Mhm.
before they build the full scale car. And the problem with water is not scalable. That's the
It,
problem with
and
water.
air is scalable.
Yeah. That's the problem. Like, so a smaller volume of water is not the same as a bigger volume of water. and they have the and I actually learned that from my brother. He's a mechanical engineer, and he was telling me about it in CFD models. He goes, air is actually scalable, right? But water is not scalable. Like you can't run a smaller scale model in like a water chamber or whatever it is, and then just run water over the car to see what happens.
Okay.
Whereas with air, you can. So I think I could be wrong again, but like I think
No,
that
but
is the
liquids are
reason.
not. You cannot compress liquids, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that is what is yeah, like you're right. Like water, you can't compress at all. So that's and oils and things like that. So that's part of the reason why air is used, because air is less dense and weighs less than water, and obviously they are running through air as well. So yeah, it doesn't scale up to a full car. I mean, that's why they run like CFD models to run everything, and there is a limitation to what CFD can do. I don't know. It may be getting really good, but like with the rules and with the regs of F1, a lot of their testing, they can't actually run tests to their cars. They have to do everything in CSD, and they have limited hours in wind tunnels, I believe.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
then,
They do. It's
which
regulated as well.
yeah, so which means they have to basically wait for.
And actually, that was one of the discussions that we had, right? Because some teams do have those air tunnels, some don't. And I think it
Yeah.
needs to be centralized by FIA,
I don't
because
know.
they're regulating everything in terms of how many hours you can spend in the wind tunnel. They should have one that they can actually lend to every team. You need this to be centralized.
I don't know. I don't know that they need to do that. I think they look, because wind tunnels are not cheap, man. They're fucking expensive. They
They
really
are,
are
but that's
expensive.
the thing. It's just too expensive for some of the small
But
teams
yeah,
to own.
but you have some of the teams that already have them, and this
Yeah,
is
but
the other thing with
and
wind
that's the
tunnels as
thing.
well.
You have some teams that don't have it. There's the budget cap coming next year. Those small teams will never be able to afford one, and some other teams will already have this
Yeah,
available.
that's really true. So you're right. There may have to be some sort of like community wind tunnel or
Centralize it.
testing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Centralize it.
or the long standing teams will actually need to donate time to other teams, and I think they already
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
that.
Also,
But here's the other funny thing: is there's always, and I don't know if this discussion has been put to bed yet, but there is in the past there has been talks about, AlphaTauri are going to run wind tunnel time. How do you know they're not running Red Bull parts on the car?
because you have got those regulations about sharing the parts. That's
Yeah,
the whole point of Racing Point being sued, right? So
yeah, but what?
essentially, it should
Yeah,
not happen. But
but what stops? No, seriously, but what stops? Because the car has to be homologated, right?
Mhm.
So they go, "This is your car." But when you're building the car, nothing is homologated yet. So what's to stop Adrian Newey and the German guy from AlphaTauri meeting at a McDonald's, exchanging USB sticks, and go, "Can you
Well,
just
it's not
can you?"
supposed to happen.
Yeah, but can
And
this?
that's what the regulations are about. Like that's why they have those regulations. And again, that's why they wanted that clarity around what can you copy, what amount can you share between teams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
but like,
I'd like to talk about Vettel a little bit.
okay, Vettel at Aston Martin, new team, four-time world championship driver. Perez is out. He'll probably end up at Alfa
He'll have
Romeo.
driven 3 different engines as well. I know nobody talked about the result of last week's race in terms of engines, but I think it's an interesting thing to look at because
Yeah.
if anything, what we know about and what we see also with Ferrari's poor performance this year, the engine is very, very important, right? So
Yeah, definitely.
we had 3 different engine on the top 3 last week, and now we have Vettel, who is actually gonna be having what is supposed to be, or what is what everybody is saying is the best engine on the grid next year.
Is it though? I don't know that it is.
Well, the Mercedes engine is supposed to be the best engine, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's not gonna have the party mode anymore, obviously, but it is supposed to be the best engine on the grid.
Mm.
Um, so the engine is not only horsepower, right?
Yeah.
It's not only torque, also even. It's also how smooth the delivery is, how when the driver is pushing that
Oh shit!
accelerator
I just
pedal.
lost all audio in my headphones.
Oh, he lost all audio on his headphone. So we're gonna have to. But anyway, so my point was that the engine is much more complex than just the top horsepower or the peak torque. The power delivery, the way it delivers power, the way it even comes down from power, and all of this has to be predictable for the driver to optimize the performance around one lap, right? And then in the race over many laps. And then you have the reliability also that comes about. So it's a much more complex equation than it just oh, I've got the most horsepower is the best. As we saw, the Ferrari engine last year, because of what they were using allegedly, um, it was not the most powerful, but it was picking up speed so much. So the torque was just unbelievable. But in terms of horsepower, it was not probably um, the highest out there. So again, it's a much more complex equation than just saying, yeah, because it seems, I mean, again, allegedly, but the Renault engine apparently has the most horsepower today.
That's what I was thinking. Like the Renault engine is the one that's actually like delivering the most there.
In horsepower.
Yeah.
But the thing is, again, how do you deliver that power is very important. Again, if it's very, you know, it's the turbos are very difficult, right?
Yeah.
Because um, when you have an NA engine where you put your pedal like this or like this, and consistently how the engine will react and how much power you'll get. With a turbo, it's actually a lot more difficult because you have that spool.
Yeah.
So with a turbo, you start like this, and you might have 20% of power, and then it starts to spool. And if you stay even put at the same pedal angle, you're gonna end up having 100% of power.
Yeah, but I
Just
think
to make it simple, right? I'm just
yeah, but
simplifying
that's
things, but
yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and this is pretty basic turbo talk for most people. But I think with like variable vane turbos and things like that, I don't know that that's that much of an issue.
you still have,
You're right that there is lag, 100%.
yeah,
And what is that? Ah, fuck, I can't remember what that technology is called in the rally cars. You know how you go off throttle and it keeps dumping fuel into the engine.
the
So
two-step,
yeah,
or
no. It's like it's not afterburner. It's like when you hear um they
the
go off
crackling.
yeah they go off throttle and then you hear the turbo going bap, 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 bap. What's it fucking called? It's like it ignites a spark to keep the turbo continuously
Spooning.
spinning.
So, but yeah, and again, also you have not only this like mechanical ways of mitigating that
Yeah,
the spool and all of that, but you also have the ECU that is going to help you tremendously, with this as well.
yeah,
But you still have that problem. Especially with a turbo engine, more so than you would with an NA engine. So
mm,
that's where again engines are different in the way they deliver the power.
yeah.
And that my point is not to make a freaking essay on turbo and turbo lag and what's happening there. My
Anti-lag,
point is
anti-lag. That's what it's called. Anti-lag system.
anti-lags. Yeah, okay. The thing is, my point is more about different engines have different um, ways of operating,
Yeah.
and the horsepower and torque is only part of the story.
Yeah, so I'm just looking up what anti-lag is. So it says anti-lag system, a method of reducing turbo lag or effective compression used on turbocharged engines to minimize turbo lag on racing performance cars. It works by delaying the ignition timing very slightly to balance an inherent loss in combustion efficiency with an increased pressure at the charging side of the turbo. So basically, it
It's a clear
changes.
crystal.
Yeah, so you go throttle off, ignition timing changes, increases pressure at the exhaust side to keep the turbo spinning, and then when you go on throttle, the turbo is spooled, so you get full
Already
boost
spooled, so you
pressure.
get full
Yeah,
boost straight away.
yeah. I
Um,
don't know if they're doing that in F1.
they, as I said, it's a
But
mix.
yeah, but you know what? That sounds awfully familiar as to what Ferrari was
Ferrari
doing
was
last
doing
season.
to actually give them a boost
Yeah,
off corners. Yeah,
yeah, by
definitely. But
increasing the
again,
fuel efficiency.
you have different ways to mitigate this. You also the ECU also can help. And again, like we see with the hybrid that took it to the next level. From the freaking Toyota. With the McLaren actually bringing it, where you use the hybrid when you have a low torque curve from your engine to actually bring it. So you have many ways of mitigating this. The ECU can help, the curves can help, your electric engines essentially. There's many ways of doing this, and again, every manufacturer of engine does it differently.
Yeah,
And it seems that Mercedes is doing it the best in terms of how smooth that engine is in delivering the power and how predictable it is for the driver when pushing the pedal outside of a corner, to preserve the tires, but also to get the optimum traction.
yeah, and that
Uh,
obviously does become very difficult when you're managing payload. When
and
I
it
say payload, I
is,
mean like basically the weight of the fuel, so the
yeah,
car's weight changing throughout the race. So that's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think it's I mean, I just love how geeky we can get into this.
I did. That's why I love F1, man.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I love F1. I love the geekiness of it.
So I've got something to show you.
Yeah, let's change subjects a little bit because we have a lot to cover actually today, and we already spent an hour rambling about
Yeah, we did.
different things,
We really did. What is
and
it?
we're both wasted.
I'm so fucking gone. It's ridiculous. But this will be very interesting for our we're continuing the F1 discussion, but Simon Roberts takes over from Claire Williams. Thank fucking Christ. Thank God. Get her out.
Actually, a few interesting moves in F1 since last week. Okay, this one is interim though, so let's see if that's gonna,
True.
really gonna be a lasting one. And let's see what's gonna happen. Latifi had a kind of a difficult first free practice with spinning around. Russell was 15th or 16th, not too bad. Good performance, good. So let's see if that's gonna change anything. Not, there's no magic to be had anyway. But no, for me the interesting one is the what's his name? Wait, just give me a second. I'm gonna try to look up his name.
Yeah.
It's the Mercedes engine developer, like one of the main guys
Oh
in the
yeah,
engine
yeah.
development,
He retired.
who's leaving Mercedes. And he was saying that he wants to do this for personal reason because he wants a new challenge in a different industry. After COVID, he saw that there were other things that he could do and blah blah blah. So yes, but at the same time, Binotto was asked, "Is he going to join Ferrari?" And he was actually very vague in his answer. So that might be something happening as well. Those moves are actually really interesting because they happen in the background, but they are actually very freaking significant.
Yes, they are.
Um,
So that's what we
yeah,
got.
that's it.
Andy
Andy
Carroll
Carroll.
leaves the team.
This guy is a genius.
I think so, yeah.
A genius, this guy.
That's
So
that's the interesting thing about Mercedes, and I don't necessarily mean even in the F1 world, but I mean even the production car world. So, do you remember when the A45 came out,
yeah,
the original one? So,
yeah.
He's the guy that got a 2-liter engine to develop like 400 horsepower,
Mm.
a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine.
Yeah, he's
And
a genius.
yeah, so not Andy Cow, sorry. So some engineer at Mercedes. And immediately, guess who snapped him up? Audi. So when we're talking about when we're actually talking about when we're talking about like engine technology and things like that, I think Volkswagen Group is the group that's more focused on efficiency because they are the ones that are.
Let's not get into Dieselgate, but yeah, okay.
No, I know, but they have always been focused on efficiency. Like that's all right. Make a car more efficient to run. So as
I
a
think BMW disagrees.
yeah, but I
Because
mean Audi.
BMW has some of the best. Actually, they have engine of the year all the time in Europe.
Yeah, but think about Audi in the sense of sorry, not Audi, like Volkswagen Auto Group. They have their commercial divisions. They have the Volkswagen cars, which are very much, they're very much cars for the people that are, supposed to be. They're high quality but reduced running costs because obviously, the fuel. It's basically fuel, right? Um, is not that much to actually to run the car. So I can see why they did that. That they're able to get him and say, "Can you get a much smaller? Can you get a much smaller package to deliver just 100 kilowatts or 70, 80 kilowatts and lower running costs?" So that makes sense. And so it's going to be very interesting for what's his name, Andy Cow. Um, what's he going to do next? Where's he going to go?
Well, what he was saying is that he wants to, yeah, he wants a new challenge. He loved and we both work in healthcare, so we know the attraction, the natural attraction to a healthcare there. Um, yeah, he wants to try something new. So that. What he seems to be saying is that he wants to change industries altogether.
Yeah,
But at the same time, when Binotto was asked about, Andy Cowell being a potential for joining the Ferrari team, um, there was no straight no. Stop, stop. Uh, the your fantasies or something like this. It was more yeah, well, yeah, of course, him coming, being available now is very different, and then we're very interested. And it actually reminded me of Toto Wolff saying, "Oh, Vettel is available. Of course, I will not dismiss the idea of getting him."
yeah.
And well, I don't remember how he phrased it, but basically anybody would be a fool not to see that Vettel is available and consider him as an option. And up 3 months later, Vettel is going to be driving a Mercedes engine car
But you know what's yeah, exactly. But you know what the interesting thing as well is like Mercedes was actually looking into Hulkenberg too as a number 3 driver.
as a number 3. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
But again, actually, it's a very good parallel that I actually thought about this week on Gasly winning the race, and I was thinking, what if it instead of Gasly it was Hulkenberg in that very seat? And I think he would have fucked up.
yeah.
It's just the history of the guy. As talented as he is, he never scored a podium. He was very close to it. It sometimes would have been finishing first, but he
I
fumbled it many times.
I'm very biased, okay? You know why I'm biased because he won Le Mans. Porsche said, "Can you please come to our car and race in our last Le Mans race?" And he won. So I look at it and go, the guy's fucking talented.
Oh no,
So
there's no question about this. again, anybody who makes it to F1 is talented. Even Lance Stroll, who actually transformed the pay driver into the owner driver,
Yeah.
a kind of trend.
But you know what?
That is just this is just unbelievable. But
Yeah.
again, I'm just saying, um, the guy under pressure cracks.
Hulkenberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm not. I actually can't like.
Remember Germany last year?
I can't disagree with you there, and the reason is because Hulkenberg's actually a really talented driver. The problem is he's in and out of cars a lot, so he doesn't have time to mature with a car and the development of a car and get to know it very well. So in that sense, okay, yeah, we can talk about his history in F1 in previous years, but at the same time, I look at it and say, if he had more time, I think he'd be all right. And I think if you put him in a performing car like a Red Bull or something like that, he'd be good. But I think that's the big thing there. I think that's the big thing with Hulkenberg. You know,
Mm.
but if you look at the other drivers in the paddock, you can sit there and say, "Oh, they're developing and blah blah blah." Yeah, okay, cool. But I think one of the interesting thing is, Perez. What's happening with him?
Perez, yeah, and the thing is, Perez is Latino, and I kind of understand the way it is happening. So he's been very like at the beginning. So it seems to be that he learned it from one day to the next. So you're going to be staying, you're going to be staying, you're going to be staying, and then on Thursday, you're out.
Yeah. So apparently, the news is that the story we're being told is that Perez found out the same day, because that's the thing. Vettel signed the day they announced it, so he
Okay.
left it very late too. So what it
Yeah,
was
he did. That's
Vettel
the thing.
signed, and then they said Perez is leaving, and Vettel was
Vettel also
coming.
said it was happening. It happened very quickly in the
Yeah,
end because
and
he
it
was
was
questioning himself. I think basically what happened is that Racing Point was always signing Vettel. Vettel had to make his decision, and his decision, from the sounds of it, was Wednesday night, and then on Thursday they told Perez, "You're out."
yeah, that's
Um,
it.
and the thing is, as I said, Perez is a Latino, so first, okay, the announcement, all of this, okay, yeah, that's fine. I'm out. I'm a bit sad about it, but there's going to be a lot of venom coming,
Yeah, I think so. And
and that's going to
you have
be
to remember.
actually, unfortunately, detrimental to him joining any other team if he spills that venom. So I hope that he would actually be able to refrain himself from saying anything that would be, like internal talks or internal about Racing Point or something like this to the public, because he's a very talented driver, and
Yeah.
I'd love to see him on the grid next year. I would love to see him alongside Hulkenberg in Haas, for example. Um, Again, it's at the back of the grid, but these are the two seats that are still realistically for both of them available right now.
So
Or
this is
maybe in Alfa Romeo, because I think that every year it's the same thing, the same rent. Should Raikkonen leave his space?
no,
They should get out.
I
Yes.
think Raikkonen is out. But that's the thing with I think the most likely scenario is he ends up at Alfa Romeo. But the reality is, you know what? You know Solomondrin. Do you watch him much?
No, not so much, because I think he's a bit too pretentious. I don't, as much as I like Shmi because he's like so just excited boy and everything. The Salamandrine. Oh, I went to that evening and I spent $10,000, and my friend was there. We all spent $10,000, and I was refused at the door, and it was a big scandal
Bro,
because
bro, man.
come on, shut
Okay.
the fuck up. Go
Yeah, no,
fuck
but that's
yourself.
the thing. Like I've followed Salamandrin for at least 3 years now, and that is a rarity that he actually talks about money. He
Okay.
doesn't talk about it much.
I'm sorry, but I came
And
upon those videos where he did, and it was like kind of a bit, like, okay, man, you've got a lot of money, and I came upon that video actually when when the COVID was in full force. We can see the consequences around and everything, and I just thought it was misplaced. It was just a bit clumsy that he did this, and
yeah,
that's why I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm
it's
not
okay.
following you
It's
anymore.
okay. It's all right. And like I have no problem. It's I completely understand where you're coming from, because I have a weird feeling about Shmi as well. So I get it. I like totally get it. You know, like I can't
Now,
argue.
for me, Shmi, okay, he made his company, he built a company, he sold it, he made, you know, hundreds of millions of euros or pounds. But the excitement that he has is so freaking genuine. The last video, actually, there's that 190 Evo
Yeah,
there in that video. He's driving the CLK DTM. And it's just like he's just a kid in the candy store, and that's what I love about Shmi, that enthusiasm that he has
yeah,
about this. Even though he owns like probably, in my view, at least, I don't know all channels, but the best fleet of cars on YouTube right now. Um, he he's just like so genuine. He's like, "Oh, look, I'm in that small garage, and I'm gonna start my SLS and listen to the way it sounds. It's just savage." And it's just like he's just so enthusiastic about this. Um, when he goes to Switzerland on his trip lately as well. And there's like 10 to 12 Koenigsegg, and you can feel the guy is like he's following it, he's commenting it, and you can feel he's almost crying, because he's just like so into it.
yeah,
And I love this about him. Yeah, of course, the smile with too many teeth and all of this. Yeah, okay, sure. There's me, all of this. Fine. But you know what? There's so more upsides.
yeah. But this is the reason why I brought up Salamandrin, is because you mentioned he's a Latino, and you know what, the big hypercar brands, Salamandrin brought up a point. They do not care about um they do not care about the South American market, right? Because, and here's a point. I'll explain what his reasoning was. So his reasoning was that how do I explain it best? His reasoning was like they just don't care about him, right? And I'll give you a perfect example. And this is not an original example. This is straight up copied from his video. The example he used is, there is YouTubers with like 100, 200, 300K followers. Fuck, I'd love to get to that stage one day, but we'll keep working at it. But they
Let's
get
get
in,
to 10.
yeah, well, let's get to 10,000K, but well,
No,
10K,
10.
10K,
No,
but
10.
10,
Let's get
10K.
to 10 first.
Oh,
Baby
10.
steps,
Yeah,
man.
let's get to 10. 10. So everybody, like, share,
And then when
subscribe.
we have 20, we'll be like, okay, we've got tens and tens of followers.
Yeah, but the reality is, they don't actually care about the South American market all that much, and the
I
proof is,
disagree.
yeah, no, because the proof is, all these YouTubers with less than 1 million subs are actually getting invited to product launches and blah blah blah. And there's a YouTuber from Mexico called Juca, Juca, right? And arguably, he has the biggest YouTube channel for cars globally. He has almost 6 million subscribers.
Mhm.
That is the biggest YouTube car channel, bigger than Doug DeMuro,
No,
right?
but okay, but
He has almost six.
where are the subscribers from? Okay, that's one thing. That
That's what I'm
okay,
saying. Like,
we know the one
he.
thing.
Come on, let me finish. So
Yeah,
he has the world's biggest YouTube channel, and it is bilingual. It is mostly in Spanish, right? But it is the biggest YouTube car channel globally, full stop. And he does not get invited to a single launch. He does not get a single press car. He gets nothing. Right. So when we're
because
talking,
there is no market. The problem is the problem is, and it is very true to, okay, what's the biggest country in South America? Is Brazil, right?
yeah,
And in Brazil, when you look at the barriers to entry, the customs to actually import cars, you don't have supercars there. It's just as simple as this. You have only the 1% of the population who can
fucking
afford
bullshit.
the cars. No, it's not
Give
bullshit.
in.
The thing is, that's why they actually manufacture so many cars there. That's why the bug was produced there for so many years, because you have to produce there. We know this in the dental industry, for example, where the dental chairs imported are like 600% tax. There is a barrier to entry from the government for those things that make it like inaccessible for most people.
Yeah. Look. I'm not going to
So
disagree with
there's no
you.
market. What I mean is the
I'm
market is too small.
I'm not going to
So
disagree with you, but to even I'll give you an example. I played in a band. The last band I played in, all right, the uncle of the other guitarist in the band, right? I'm not going to name companies or anything like that, but one of the biggest global rental car companies is actually owned by a Chilean guy.
mhm.
Okay. And it's a company that I guarantee you've used. So
I hope
there,
it's not Hertz because Hertz
no, it's not Hertz.
checked out.
But the reality is this: it's like I would draw a similar parallel to I would draw a similar parallel to Asia, right? They have them. There is lots of people with money, and just like Thailand, in Indonesia, the amount my apartment building, right? You were with me when we said, "Oh, let's take a walk through my car park." I've never done it before. Let's do it. Let's see what's there. First floor, Ferrari GTR, BMW M3, all modified. That was the first parking bay. you know, so
No, I agree, but this is the 1%. What I mean is that if you look at it from a company, I'm gonna sell maybe 10 units there, but in the US, in Northern America, or in France or in Australia, even though in Australia you've got a big markup as well, but in other countries, I sell 1,000 unit to one in here. I mean, in Thailand, you import a car, it's 300% tax if it's over 2 liter or over 200 horsepower.
yeah,
So just forget it. There's just no way to do anything. And the market is very, 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 very small. So yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, why would you invest your money, which is limited resources anyway that you have for advertising and all of this, in a country where you're going to be selling 10 units? You're better off investing this in a country where you're going to sell 10,000. And that's why at some stage in my life I would love to live in the US, because I would love to buy cheap cars. I mean, at the end of the day, there are cars that are on the market in the US that, seriously, I mean, I would be driving a Ferrari day to day going to work. Actually, I wouldn't go for Ferrari to go to work, but I would probably have an R8, either an R8 or a 911,
yeah.
for the
I
daily
I
drive up.
I'm exactly
I,
like
I
you,
cannot I
mate.
cannot afford it here in Thailand. I'm sorry, I cannot afford it in Thailand, because the 911 that you want to buy here in Thailand, the cheapest price is already 400,000 euros.
Yeah, I genuinely, I cannot wait. Um, what am I saying? I'm again, I'm not as drunk as I was last week, but I've still got my wits about me that I can have a conversation. Um,
Does it sound like it?
oh, dude, last week I listened back to the podcast. Jesus Christ, I sounded like I was on meth or something like that. I was just like, oh my god, Jesus
It
Christ.
was a good one though. It was good. It
Yeah,
was
it
good.
was fun. It was fun. But like going back to your point, I would. I'm like you. I mean, one day I think it would be fantastic to actually. It would be fantastic to actually live in the US for a period of time because not just to
No, but
live
I'm
in the US, but
surprised that
like,
you make that comment, because you know exactly how the business is, right? Yeah,
yeah,
okay, in Mexico there's that guy who does this and he's got the biggest followers and blah blah blah. The thing is, why would you as a company invest in Mexico when you're going to be selling what, 15 cars?
yeah. But
Because
I
they
mean,
also have
these,
like those probably those tax to import cars, especially because they're a manufacturer. So it's probably like similar to Thailand. I don't know. I didn't look into the details, but what I'm saying is that, yeah, man, that companies are here to make money.
yeah, okay. I'm gonna agree with you there. the complexities on import and tax and things like that actually,
Yeah.
and of course socioeconomic status of a lot of
And that's
people.
that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah,
That's at the end of the day. That's what it is. Like
I can't.
every company looks at income, GDP per habitant, and then the barriers to entry from the government status or the
Yeah,
point of view,
I can't
and then you
disagree.
decide whether you want to go sell direct or
I,
you want to have some dealers.
I can't disagree with you there, but I actually sit there and think. Remember Carlos Slim? He was actually funding Formula One in a particular degree, but his net worth is 52 billion. And I think he was somebody that supported. Was it Perez or who was the other Mexican driver?
Maldonado? No,
Maldonado, yeah, he was helping finance Maldonado. But it wouldn't shock me to see Carlos Slim actually dip his toes into F1 again, and fund another driver, or even back Perez or a team.
Well, that's what
Uh,
we all hope with the budget cap, right? We will hope that there's going to be some more teams as well that people can invest into, because I think today most of the teams, they already have their investors, right? So
yeah.
let's hope that there's going to be some more teams, joining the party.
Yeah, well, I mean, even Williams yesterday announced a new sponsor. I don't know who the fuck they are because I can't remember, and I'm slightly drunk. But
Just slightly. That's
slightly.
the understatement of the podcast.
This is not my first bottle. I had a liter of sangria before
I'm
coming up.
finishing the second bottle of rosé today, and I was really gone last night.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah. Hello, mom. Um,
Oh
but
shit!
yeah,
Actually, that's another thing. Okay, so for all those that don't know, I actually stream on Twitch. I play a video game called Rust, and I stream on Twitch. And it's actually likely Julie and I are going to start streaming Mario Kart, and then we'll move to like Project Cars or something like that as well. But so we'll
not
probably
Project Cars,
oh,
but yeah.
we'll start streaming. We're gonna
Borderlands.
yeah,
Borderlands would be
Borderlands.
fun.
Yeah, we'll start streaming anyway.
Um, Mario Kart definitely. It's good fun all
Yeah,
the time. Mario
I'm probably
Kart, but
gonna. I'm
we
probably
need
gonna.
more than two people. We need
I've got two more people that can stream
you get
Mario
two more
Kart.
friends.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
two more
don't.
friends that can.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
that will stream Mario Kart. I might actually do a Mario Kart stream tonight. We'll see. But
I just
going.
subscribed to the Nintendo thingy. So yeah, let's do
Cool.
it.
I'll have to send you my friend ID. But where was
We
it
already
going?
are friend on Nintendo. Last
Yeah,
week we did
I
this
was
already.
going back to what you were saying. I was wasted last night. I finished a bottle of wine during my stream, and I finished the stream, and I was walking around the apartment, blaring music like fucking loud, and then I was just coming down from being really drunk, and I'm like, wow, I must have been drunk. Jesus Christ! Like if you look at my
I
Discord
wish
channel,
you had that head camera around your neck, just to look at you like, bouncing like what we see in movies, kind of
yeah,
Jason Statham in that movie that I love, which is what's it called, that movie that I love. I absolutely love that movie because I think it's just so brilliant the way it's filmed.
Crank.
Um, Crank. Oh, I love that movie. It's just I can watch it. I've watched it like probably 6, 7 times already. I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe more. I just love how psycho it is and the way it's filmed. Like kind of a video game, like that GTA style,
Crank
and that
Two is the one that I
it's
love.
just the first one is just unbelievable.
I'm sure everyone has seen Crank. Yeah,
Let's go.
I'm sure everyone has Chilo. Is it Chilo he's trying to find? But
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's seen it. But I think the funniest scene from that movie is when he's okay. So for the basic synopsis is he falls out of a helicopter in number two. Somebody like cuts out his heart and puts an electronic heart in there. The problem
No,
is,
that's the second one. The
yeah, that's
first
what I'm
one
telling you.
is
The second
Vicky.
one.
He gets the Chinese shit,
Mm.
which is the Chinese cocktail, where his heart rate, if it goes down to a certain level, actually then he would die. So his heart was eventually stopped. So he's just trying everything to keep his heartbeat up
Yeah.
until he
So
meets the guy to try and find the antidote.
in the second one, they cut
Oh,
out
it's
his
the second one.
heart.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and he's got, like, an artificial heart, so he's trying to keep his heart the artificial heart running, and
But
I
the
think that
first one is the best.
yeah, but I think the funny thing about the second one is the best scene is when he's at the racing track, the horse racing track, And in order to keep, he works out that he can get static energy to power, even though it's bullshit, it wouldn't work in reality. In order to get, he can use static energy to power the battery in his artificial heart. So he ends up just having sex with somebody on the horse track because it actually like develops, well, I don't know, whatever fucking logic.
That
I was
movie
just
is
like,
just
how good?
unbelievable.
It was just, it's so ridiculous,
Guys,
but I
if you
love
haven't
it.
watched it, watch it. It's just it's out of this world. It's innovative in that way. The script itself, there's nothing, revolutionary, but it's a good time. But the way it's filmed is just a lot of fun. The
Yeah,
director, I don't remember the director name on that one, but just unbelievable the way it's filmed. Um, if you like video games, if you like Grand Theft Auto, definitely you love that movie. You
yeah,
will love that movie.
it's definitely in the vein of Grand Theft
Because
Auto.
it's in that vein. Yeah, it's like Dan Hauser style.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
unbelievable.
it's
Talking about this, when is the PS5 coming out? Because I'm waiting for the PS5. I want the new Switch as well, and I'm waiting for the
yeah.
PC. I'm gonna get a PC very soon, actually. So yeah, I'm gonna get the I'm actually gonna get the my gaming rig, a race sim. I'm gonna get that pretty soon, man. Um,
You might actually see that the 20 series GPUs come down now because
I
Nvidia.
don't need to. Seriously, the 30 series. But no, my brother is sending me his old computer. It's got a 1080 Ti, which
Oh,
actually runs Assetto Corsa fine.
yeah, do that then.
Um,
That's great. That's worth it. I mean, a
he's
1080
sending
Ti
it to
is
me.
still a good graphics
Yeah.
card.
So yeah, I'm gonna be doing this, I think, and yeah, I just you know um playing card games. I'm just waiting for the seat. Actually, the
Yeah,
seat is the one that I'm waiting for because I really want to get that. What is it called? That company, Next Level Racing. The GT seat, where I can then upgrade with the movement and all of
yeah,
that. So I want this to be evolutive in the future.
yeah.
And then
I'm gonna grab one of those myself. I think I've got to get myself a racing sim set up. I can actually set one up in this room. There's enough room because
yeah,
I'm gonna run VR.
that's what I want as well. That's why I'm gonna keep that TV. The TV, back there. That one is, it's a 4K TV. It's gonna be running 4K in 60 hertz. It's fine. I don't need
60.
more.
Actually, for racing, that's fine.
I'm not too worried. So for the time being, it's gonna be like this. But yeah, it's essentially what I want to get to is the VR, because I've tried the VR with the PS4 on a GT Sport. Um, it sucks in many ways because it's like the definition, or yeah, it's not enough. But the thing is, at the same time, it really rules because it feels so good.
Mm,
And yeah, my friend was telling me like he bought this and everything, and he said, yeah, after a couple of laps, he gets dizzy and every. I don't. I
yeah,
really don't. Like it's
I don't
just
get it at all either.
yeah.
So that's all right for me. But I'm gonna run a sim setup as well.
We
So
should, and then we should race on this first, just so that you can keep up with me and learn a few things.
I'm actually really terrible at video games. Like if you actually watch my Twitch stream, you can see how fucking rubbish I am at video games.
No,
Yeah.
I haven't. And I don't even know what Rust is. Actually, I don't know that game. So yeah, please you
If
have to
you
explain it to me.
after this stream, I've sent you
It's a
my
survival game, or
yeah, it's a survival game. So after this stream, I've sent you my link for Twitch. You can go watch some of my streams. Um, and yeah, we
well,
can.
I'll send it to somebody who cares. But yeah, um, yeah, yeah, survival games. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, Borderlands is something that I'm gonna. And actually, this is where I need your advice on, because I need to get that SD card. I don't know which one to get
Yeah,
on the Switch, so you have to please guide me on this.
yeah, I'll help you out.
Um,
Like man, like I'm running most of my games off SD cards. So that's cool.
And yeah, the thing is, yeah, Borderlands is fun online, like on co-op.
I didn't know there was a
Survival
co-op.
games, I'm not sure. I don't know. Is it a long thing or a short thing?
Yeah, you've got to be committed because all right, so Rust, what they have is like it's called a wipe, right? So each server has different wipe schedules. So some are 30 days, some are 7 days. I play on a server that's got a 7-day wipe schedule, right? And essentially what you do is you start with nothing and you build up to a base and then you just start raiding people. There's no story, there's no nothing. It's about surviving. And and then there's a component that's about PvP, there's components about what's the other thing? There's components about what is it? Building, there's
Oh, you're drunk,
puzzles.
man.
Yeah, I'm gone. But
I'm also wasted.
yeah, it's
So
all
it's
right.
fine.
But yeah, so there's a lot of components to this game. So have a watch or skip through one of my Twitch streams just to get an idea.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
But no, I'd like to. Yeah, I'd like to. Fast-paced going games. So yeah, that probably is not for me. The
Yeah,
rest
yeah. There's
thing.
shooting games and there's I highly recommend you and me stream together. We're gonna play Mario Kart together, so that'll be good.
Yeah, Mario Kart should be fun.
Yeah.
I would say
I've got one of these.
Borderlands as well should be fun.
So this is an Elgato HD60S, and what it does is it's a capture card. So
Yeah,
it
I know
captures,
Elgato. Yeah.
yeah. So it captures my video stream from the Switch, and we can actually stream, and I'll just use the Discord audio, which is what I use actually for my Twitch streams.
Sure.
So we'll do that. So everyone out there can. I don't know if we do it on Twitch or we do it on YouTube just for fun, but yeah.
We should do it on Twitch and then post it on YouTube after.
Yeah, sounds good.
I think Twitch is is a good platform for
streaming at
direct streaming play. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, we can do that, and let's do it also not safe for work, and have some drinks, and I mean no, we're gonna end up with a cirrhosis if we do this, but yeah, let's make it happen. More than happy to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, as I said, I'm gonna build my gaming racing setup. Let's do that as well.
All right, sounds good.
Because yeah, because
I need a bit of motivation to actually start getting this shit up.
Because give me a couple of months. But yeah, essentially that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go for a T300 because that's what's available here. Otherwise, I would go for a Fanatec, the direct drive. But yeah, just that's what's available here, and I don't want to complicate things. So I'm gonna go for this, and yeah, it should be fun. It should be fun for now. And then as soon as I can, I'm gonna go direct drive. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, how about we call the stream there? I mean, do we have any final words on Magello this weekend? Any predictions? Or I honestly, I think it's gonna be business as usual. But let's see what you have to say.
Yeah. Let me think a minute here. I'm hoping for Norris first podium, either second or third. I'm going for Hamilton first, and then Verstappen, because the Red Bull looked quite fast also there.
Yeah, I would say Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, 1, 2, 3. That's my prediction.
Okay.
That is my prediction.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm gonna go for Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris. That's an interesting podium. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this week. Remember, if you enjoyed this or didn't enjoy this, that's okay too. Like, share, subscribe.
And put your hands up in the air. Put your hands up in the air.
Remember to like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about it. It'd be great. I mean, we're a very casual, irreverent car podcast, but yeah, you know what's interesting, Julian?
No filters.
During this podcast, we got 1 subscriber.
We did.
We did actually.
Do we have any comments actually?
No, we don't. But we went from 5 to 6. So So thank you, everybody. We'll see.
Oh wait, I did.
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
No, I did follow us.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you,
See
Julian.
ya.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you all again next week.